Hello, welcome back to Leicester Fan TV. This is the debate show. For finally, we're going to get most of Leicester Fan TV in, and we're going to have a big debate tonight about the big question. Oh, Taylor's gone. Elephant in the room. What would you like to happen at Leicester City in terms of change? Now, of course, there's the big protest happening at the Taylor's back. The game against Norwich. There's been counter protests where people are more like, get behind the team, that sort of stuff, which is fine. So I think we should go around the room. We'll get this thing started. We'll kind of go around the room and we'll kind of say what change would we like and why, and then we can go at each other and debate why. How does that sound?
All good with me, mate.
All good.
All good. All good.
So
Who's going first?
I'll bring up the evening, everybody. Then Simon, you kick off.
Okay. So let me just start with how we get here in the first place. You know, why are we all sat here tonight having this debate? And this is a brief kind of summary for me of the reason why. Firstly, we've struggled to hold on to senior board members at the club for years, most recently with Susan Whelan leaving. We've employed, as a result of that, an interim CEO that, to my knowledge, was working as a customer service manager prior to that. And soon after that, played silly beggars with the non-playing staff's wages. In the last 2 years, we've had 4 managers, or 5 if you count Andy King as an interim manager. The ones that stick out to me is the Van Nistelrooy sacking, which for some unknown reason took an age to do, and then left Cifuentes less than enough time to prepare for this season. You've got Arona being interviewed after inconsistent or non-existent communication for a long period of time coming out of the club to the fans. He's interviewed by Owen Palmer-Adkin and Sky Sports in the morning, suggesting that the manager needs supporting. And by the afternoon, the manager's sacked. And then it transpires, given the fact we've had 3 weeks, which I think is the longest period of time in the club's history with no permanent manager and a gap in between, where we just seem to have flip-flopped around, leaving Andy King, who most fans have got a lot of goodwill for, in an almost impossible position, trying to hold the fort in the meantime and try and pick up some points, which obviously, unfortunately, for one reason or another, he's not managed to do, including that catastrophe against Southampton at home not so long ago. You've got the PSR breach in the middle of all of this in recent times. If you read the hearing, the financial advisor to the club is consistently and persistently telling the people that are running the club that they're going to breach, and he's telling them that they need to sell players, they need to offload cost. Yet they've not done it, and we've breached, which has cost us 6 points. You add into that, without me going on and on forever, the player strategy at the club in the last few years, which has largely led to mediocrity being signed on big wages, on long contracts, that we end up stuck with those players and even struggling to get them out on loan. And you kind of figure out why we end up where we are now in the bottom 3, and having struggled, I believe, to find a manager to come in and take this job on for a period of time. So you add all that up together, and I think it's difficult for anyone to argue that change is needed. Now, what that change looked like is open for debate. You know, there are those, as Jono alluded to, that want the ownership to be removed. For me personally, I'm not necessarily 100% in that camp. I'm not owner out. I'm change. And basically what I'm saying is this cannot carry on as it is, because if it does, this club is going to spiral down and down and down into oblivion. It cannot carry on. So if Top is not willing to put in the time or isn't capable of doing it himself, for me, a coherent management structure needs putting into the club that allows them to do the job. And in addition to that, whilst I'm not owner out, I am Rudkin out. I think Rudkin's had more than enough time. And the last thing that I want is a whole group of senior people being brought into the club that are overseen by John Rudkin, and then that causes further delay, problems, issues. And I think whilst you know, I know Rudkin was there during times that were more successful. I think his course is run at the club for me. So that's where I stand.
I'm going to add on to what you've said. So we've just, Sam's gone over why Top has made questionable decisions at the top of the club regarding the process of making decisions. You know, it took ages to hire a manager. It took ages to sack Brendan Rodgers, which ultimately got us relegated because I think D Smith would have kept us up if he was hired earlier. He's not very truthful. He said that he tried to comply with PSR and blatantly they didn't, because this season as we got relegated, we overbreached by so much, and being deducted 6 points is actually very lucky, because we should have been deducted 12, and that is fact. We should have been deducted 12, but they didn't want us to instantly relegate us, so they gave us a chance of survival. The reason why I want a new ownership, and this is my own personal opinion, is I've watched a lot of business YouTube videos about the status of let's erase the relationship with Top. Let's erase that. The club itself is on its knees, and we are owned by a company that's also on its knees. If we get relegated to League One, which is very possible, we have 1 year of parachute payments. If we do not get promoted next season, the club will go bankrupt. That is fact. That is not like, oh, like let's put debate. We will go bankrupt because the overheads of the club are worth more than the club is valued at. So that is why I'm scared. And Top has not proved to me that he can make good business decisions to fix this. He's not hiring the correct staff. He's not got the correct people around him. He doesn't make quick decisions. That's why I think we need to change soon-ish, so we can go on, like, you know, Operation Stop the Bleeding and try and rescue us financially. That's my feeling of the financial part of it.
See, I'm slightly different to you, and more to on the same kind of lines as Simon, but a little bit different to you, Jono. Yes, there has been mismanagement over the last 5-6 years, and a lot of that is down, for business-wise, is down to COVID. For the King Power, is down, like I say, to COVID, because I was over here running a business in Spain, same problems, no people coming into the country, no people going into their countries or anything like that, and the money just wasn't coming in. Yes, there has been mismanagement, but at the minute, we've got more problems on the field than off the field. I'm not one of these KPFC's King Power out people. Yes, I think time has come for change, but you will not see any change 6 months to 12 months down the line. The problem we've got, and the problem that I disagree with this protest on February the 28th, that it's going to be really toxic in that game, because you're now splitting the fans. I think it's more 60-40 for the uniting change, or whatever it is, or the protest, whatever it's called. I can't remember. But I think we've got to get behind the fans and become one. And the players, I know everyone keeps saying about, oh, well, we've watched a load of dross, we've watched a load of shit over the last 2 years, we've paid good money. I don't want to see them go down to League One. I do not want to see them. I want to see them win every single game, the next 14. I know that's not going to happen, though. I don't want us to go down to League One. And the more the fans are toxic against the players, against the board, against the club, every game, it takes a toll on the players. Yes, how do you know it's not affecting them mentally? I know we all use the mental health issues. Yes, I've struggled myself. But how do you know that's not affecting the players, and that's the performances we're getting from them, is because of the fans' reaction? Like I say, I'm not totally against King Power selling up, or Top selling up, or whoever's got it, but I don't think you'll see what we want to see for change. Nothing will be done for 6 to 12 months. No one's got the amount of money they'll need to buy the club, whether it's in League One or the Championship next year. Yeah, I think now is the time to. We've got 14 cup finals. None of you, you four out there, do not want us to go down to League One. Please tell me that you don't want us to be in League One next year. None of us want us to be in League. Well, I know one person does, but none of us want to be in League One. That would be awful being in there again for the second time in our history. These 14 games, we've got to forget everything else. This protest, I think, is totally wrong. It will work awful against the players. I really do believe it will work against the players, and it will work against what they want to do. And it's been run by the wrong people, I think, this protest. That's my point of view. Just got to back the players. Now, yes, I know I've been negative the last 2 years, but we're in the shit, and we need to get behind the players totally for the next 14 games. I was thinking of coming back for the Norwich game. I'm not, mainly now because of this process. I'm definitely not, because I think I'll get in trouble for it. Back the players. That's what we've got to do. Back the players now. Forget about the off-field, what's happening off the pitch. It's on the pitch where we're in the shit. Yes, I know we haven't got much money, but we can't do anything about that. It's the next 14 games that count. And if it carries on, it's going to get really toxic. That's what I think.
What about you, Reedy?
I think I'm in kind of the middle of both marches or protests, if you want to call it. I think on one side, there's a lot of fans who have their opinions on wanting King Power out. And then there's fans, I think, from that camp of that, people have come out saying, we don't want that to happen. We don't want to all be in the same opinion. We want to have a different opinion on it. And I think I'm in the bit of the middle stage where I think the first thing I'll say is, and I'll say it to all of you, if King Power was still in charge and we were in the Premier League and we're back to where the top 10 positions and all that, no one would be complaining about the King Power situation and the ownership at all. But because we're in this sort of position right now where we could be in the position where we go down to League One, a lot of people are having to point a blame at someone. And in the last years of how bad we've been, they've been targeting the board and Rudkin. And I'm in the stage where I'm in the middle where I don't want King Power to go because I think they're good for us in long term. Again, they came in and did what we have achieved, but in the same sense, there has been issues and reasons why we're in this position now. Again, contracts, players being brought in who aren't going to be or haven't been good enough for us, high wages and all that. It's hard to know where I want to be. Again, I'm not going to be in the protests. I'm not going to be in the marches. But like Jamie said, I'm all for backing the players, but I need to see something on the pitch, and that's for me where hopefully the likes of I believe I've got the manager's name now.
Gary Rowett.
That's it. Gary Rowett will come in and hopefully just go back to basics. Not in the fact of not playing passing football or hoofing it up. I mean, just going back to basics of playing football and the players knowing what they need to do it in the team. Again, the game against Southampton, 3-0 up. You play so well in the first half. The second half looked like we didn't have a clue how we wanted to settle or play. So we just need to go back to basics and how football is meant to be played and just set up with a back four, solid back four, and not counter attack, but just know where your place is in the team. So I'm in the middle of both. I don't want them out, but I don't agree with all the comments of we need these people out because this is why we're in the position. So I want to say I don't want to say I'm on the fence, but
You are.
I mean I'm in between because I don't want to be an out King Power out, but then I'm like I don't want to
Put your neck on the line. Do what we did.
don't-
Say what you say. Put your neck
but
on the
it's true.
line.
It's true though. I don't want. I'm not a King Power out, but I'm not to the point where we're like, come on, even if we're losing 4-0, come on, we can do this. We can do this. It's not going to be the case. We're going to still get complaints if we concede a goal early on. We're still going to get complaints when things aren't going right. Like if we win the next 14 games, like no one's gonna complain about King Power, are they? Really?
Right.
Are they?
Really, when you get off that fence, you'll have a line of creosote on your arse. You're stuck to it that much, pal.
Like, what can we do? Like, I get what
Yeah,
Jamie's saying about back the players. I get it, but where is the? I need to see something from the club to back because recently it's not been there. So how can I back it without seeing some change?
I want to counter Jamie a little bit.
Let's see what Taylor's got to say.
Oh yeah,
first.
sorry, I forgot. I thought Taylor dropped out. Sorry, Taylor. Go on, Taylor.
Right. My little saying with this whole King Power situation is, I'm not King Power out. I'm King Power sort it out. I don't want. I've earned so much respect for Top for what he's done, and I think a lot of people are saying, "Oh, he doesn't care. He doesn't care." He clearly cares about the club. Like, he clearly does. What's happened to his dad and what's like the things he's done to him. He clearly cares about the club. I just think he's not ruthless enough. He's not got the balls that we need from an owner like Vicho had. I think he should maybe be higher up and just appoint a chairman to do the club business. But with Rudkin, I'm Rudkin out, because the biggest thing that winds me up about this whole situation is the wages and how much we pay for players. That's the thing that's got us in the most trouble. And that's the thing that's ruined us, really. They're putting Winks on 90 grand a week in the Championship, buying Oliver Skip for 25 million, Daka for 20 million, Sumare, Ako, like all these players we've signed for so much money. And then we got Vestergaard, Bertrand on like not 100 grand a week. This is all Rudkin. So anyone who's been making that decision, or anyone who's been around Rudkin and doing these wages for these crap players, they're the ones that I want to see go. It's not Top. I think Top loves the club and he's done a lot. He just needs to grow a pair of balls a bit. But in terms of what Jamie was saying, I completely agree. I think we should put it all to the side at the moment. We cannot let this club go down to League One. We have to do everything we can to make sure we stay up. No matter what, this is 14 cup finals now. If we go down, we will be bankrupt if we don't go up the next season. And if we do go down, I can't see us going up the next season. So Gary Rowett has to be a success. That has to be a success. Obviously, we will go down. These 14 games that's all that matters at the moment. But I am Rudkin out, Top, sort it out, not out. That's my opinion.
So I want to say that I 100% agree with Jamie. If you go to the game and purposely boo, cause unnecessary bad attention, you are immediately sabotaging the team. That is what you should never do. If you go to the game, you should give the team every ounce of energy with the team. So I'm all for, yes, I'm not deluded. I'm not expecting us for Top to sell, put the club on Vinted and someone to buy us at a discounted price and buy us in a week's time. I
could afford it if it was on Vinted.
But so I'm on the same fence as all you three. Support them all day long. However, Taylor, you said that Top needs to be ruthless and get stuff sorted. Where have you seen Top once being ruthless since Vichai's death? Name one time.
Yes, I understand that he hasn't. He hasn't done it.
What makes you think that he could be ruthless now? We are literally knocking on bankruptcy's door. What makes you think he's going to sack Rudkin now to make the board changes needed to turn the ship around?
Because I think he loves this club a lot, and I don't think he won't let us go down. He won't let us like completely fall off and like completely fold. So I think.
What if he doesn't sack Rudkin though? What if he doesn't sack Rudkin?
I think if it came to the situation where Top knew he's lost control, he'd appoint someone, like I've said, a chairman that's below him. Top goes away from it and just deals with the King Power stuff and the money. A chairman to make decisions. That's what I think Top would do. And I get he hasn't been ruthless, but that's what I think he should do.
Just one thing, Jono, on that. People seem to have forgot about the 200 million debt that he wiped off and turned into shares.
True.
See, no one's got an answer to that. Everyone's forgot about the good things he's done.
Was that him or his dad?
No, him. The company, King Power. That was him. Yeah. About 3 years ago, was it, lads? I can't remember exactly.
I think it was like 180 something grand.
180 grand, 180 million. He wiped off in shares. Everyone all of a sudden forgets all the good things he's done. What about winning the FA Cup? What about what he put towards that? The effort he put to the FA Cup. I'm a big believer in the FA Cup, the magic of the FA Cup. I was over the moon. I was bawling my eyes out for nearly 24 hours when we won that. There's the good thing he's done. He wiped the shares off as well. People seem to forget. Yes, he has. But who has the final say on signings? Simon, you seem to be more in that kind of world than the rest of us. Who actually has the final say on them signings? Is it Top or is it Rudkin that signs off on, yes, we'll give him this much and that? Does the chairman have much to do with that in the running of the business, of that kind of business?
I think he's giving the nod financially as much as anything. I think Rudkin's running the show, and I think he's then making the obligatory call to the owner to just say, "This is what I'm doing," and getting the yay or the nay. I kind of agree with Taylor that I think Top is a room pleaser for me. He's a nice guy. He's a people pleaser. You can tell that he wants to be liked. He wants to be popular. And I do wonder sometimes whether, he's maybe as strong as his father in those decisions when you look at that kind of change of ownership in terms of obviously his father tragically passing away and Top taking the reins at quite a young age, let's be honest. Rodgers was there at the time and the strategy of player acquisition changed in terms of us going out and spending lots more on people like Patson Daka, Buba Samare, etc. So maybe that's because he's less of a firm hand than his dad, and he's less. He's allowing people like John Rudkin to kind of have more of a steer and more control, and I think maybe that's part of the reason why things have kind of gone a little bit awry over the last few years.
I think sometimes emotion can control you a lot. Like, I can't thank Top's family enough for what they've done to the city, not only to the club, the city. He helped put Leicester City on the map. We're best fairy tale story in history on any sport. But if you were to look at it if you were a businessman, never heard of football, went into Leicester as a business, you'll think, what on earth is happening here? Why are they about a CEO, a director of football, whatever, the member of staff for like 4 months?
Technical director.
Yeah. What massive business do you know that has 3 major roles like that and a manager missing for that amount of time? I can't think of a business.
I understand where you're coming from with like all these kind of issues in the last couple of years. Again, Susan Whelan leaving. Why did she leave? Was it because of the toxicity between everyone else? Again, Vardy leaving. Did he know what was coming? Because again, we saw a video a few months back now when someone asked him, "Oh, what about Rudkin and whatnot?" And he was like, "Oh, I can neither confirm or deny." All this stuff, it all leads to a lot of toxicity in the club. And as much as I understand, yes, people want Rudkin out, people think that he is the biggest issue, which, again, if you look at there's not any clear facts to say it is, but people can kind of get a reasoning and work out where the blame is to lie. But I'm not someone who would go out and say, look at the 10 years he had before, and he did brilliantly. So, but I don't know, and it's so hard because, like I say, you're all going to say I sit on the fence, but there's no way of kind of working out where the issue lies without complete facts, because we can only assume and try and work out where this issue is. I know Taylor was saying about the wages. I agree. I think the biggest issue over the last couple of years and why we have not spent barely any money in any transfer window is we'd be putting on players on too many wages. Again, all I'd say is Harry Winks, when we bought him in the club 2 years ago in the Championship, if we didn't give him that 90 grand a week, firstly, would he have joined? Probably not. And second of all, would we have got to the Premier League again without him? And I'm not saying it was all down to him. I'm just saying that he was a big factor in why we did so well that year. And
see, there's a big thing that's about Rudkin being out. He's the one that had no. I mean, Top wouldn't have had anything to do with this about the clauses in the contracts about relegation or promotion. There was no relegation clauses put in them contracts. There's normally a 25-30% relegation clause. So to be honest, it's more. That's where a lot of the money's gone in the Championship, because they were still paying Premiership wages, really, aren't we? We've not cut down a lot. I mean, I think we're still something like the top wage. I think 80% of the revenue, 90% of the revenue is now wages. Where in the Championship, normally a top class club is about 50% of the revenue, or we're well above that. We're nearly double that, aren't we? About
But
nearly 90% of the wages is taken from the revenue. Sorry, the other way around. You know what I mean? It's got to be down to nearly 50%
But
of the
that's the
revenue.
thing. That's the issue though, because we went to buy players on big wages because we were firstly trying to go for a European place or higher up. Because we were, like I said, we brought in the likes of Sumare, who won the league that year. We brought in who else was it? Daka, who again on his day. But
That was before. That was well before Sumari.
Well, you know what I mean, but I think we brought in players that we were trying to progress up the leagues, and that year we failed and got relegated. So it's all coming down now to the fact that we're still paying players on high wages and we're nearly in League One. So
don't forget Steve Cooper, Ruben Nistelrooy, and Martin's wages are still being paid to this day.
Yeah.
Right. Hold on a minute. You see, you've said about there's a couple of things you've said between yourselves that one, we'll be bankrupt if we go into League One. Two, you've just said about paying wages. How do you know? Is this just people you've seen on YouTube and that, or have you spoke to someone in? No one knows exactly what's going on with club finances.
There's no truth in it, but I
think
seen.
Percy said it. To be fair,
Yeah,
I
think someone mentioned it, saying that we are still when we sacked Martin Fuentes, and about a week or two after that, we heard that we are still paying for Cooper and Rude's wages. It might not be Cooper, but it was definitely it was Cooper.
It was definitely Cooper, Rude's, and Marty's now.
It will be Marty's now, but again, that's why, in my opinion, when before today, when we announced the new manager and we had King for the last 3 weeks, I was thinking we're probably going to have to stick with him because there's no one. We can't afford another manager to come in.
I think the only thing we can all debate about King Power in or out or Topper in or out. The one thing that we should all agree on, and it is concrete and it is factual, is Rudkin's in charge of transfers. Rudkin's in charge of wages. Rudkin is the one who's put us in this situation, in my opinion. You can't keep giving all these players these wages. He's the one doing it.
In a way, yes, and I would say that a majority of people would like Rudkin at the club just to even start with. But for instance, what if tomorrow Top comes out and says, "Yeah, Rudkin's left the club"? Every single fan will probably be like, "Great, it's happened," but nothing's going to change for 12 months to a year, 12 months to 2 years. It's not going to change anything until 2 years down the line, where we could be in League One already. We could be back to the Premier League by then. You don't know, or you could be stuck in the middle of the Championship. But whatever change you make now the managers have been appointed, there's no change that's going to happen that's going to be an instant impact anywhere. Because the players on the pitch aren't going to care if Rudkin go. The players on the pitch aren't.
Would you want to be stuck in the middle of the Championship for a few years, or go down to League One at the end of the season?
I think everyone would choose to be back in the Championship.
Yeah,
but I'm not saying in any way I want to be in the League One. But what I'm saying is, you can get rid of Rudkin right now. It's not going to change anything for a couple of years.
Oh no, this is what I've been saying the last few weeks.
There's a process.
For weeks and weeks, I've been saying nothing will change for 6 to 12 months, but people seem to want them out now, which I don't. It needs to happen now. That's the problem. The shit on the pitch that's happening. That's what we've got to sort out.
If it needed to happen now, it should have happened 2 years ago, because we would probably be in a lot better situation we are now 2 years ago if we did it. But now
that's gone now. That's gone now. That's done now.
2 years ago, we were coming out of COVID, and we were still struggling from COVID 2 years ago.
But like you said, because it could be a 2-year plan where if Rudkin goes and a new person could take over and whatnot, we don't know where we would be in 2 years' time now. So
would you keep him, Reedy? If you were Top, would you keep Rudkin?
I think the biggest reason why he's still here is because of the loyalty he had through the last 10 years, where he was, I wouldn't say doing a good job, but they have a very close connection to the point where they're probably too close to go, right, I'm sorry, but we have to let you go. But that's where you are, and I agree with you. You need to be more ballsy and say, you're not my mate, you're messing my business up, you can go. But the problem is, I can't see him doing it. But what I will say is, if Rudkin's still in charge and we're back in the Premier League top 10 again in the next couple of years, will anyone question Rudkin?
That's not
Would
going to
anyone
happen.
I just want to ask you this though. When would you guys' turning point be to make bold changes? Because let's say James is correct. Let's say we get behind the ball. Let's we get behind the team. They stay in the league. Good. We're staying championship. I want Rudkin nowhere near the transfer side of things if we stay up, because I do not want him signing Luke Thomas on a 4-year contract on God knows how much wages again. That if we stay up, when do you make these changes? Because you might say, oh well, it won't make any difference, but when would you make the difference? We can't keep having Rudkin in forever.
Another question for Simon, because like he's a bit more intelligent than all us, I think. What does Rudkin actually do now? What is his job? And there's no technical
upstairs,
director
mate.
that's coming in.
He's upstairs.
Yeah, but
He's
what
up
actually
there,
is
he
his
is.
job now? When this new technical director comes in, I'm trying to be sensible for once, reader. This ain't Sunday morning. When this new technical director comes in, what will Rudkin's job be then, Simon? Do you know? Or have you got any idea?
It's my understanding that as it stands, as Jono alluded to earlier on in this debate, right now we've only got John Rudkin and this Nancy lady that clearly hasn't got any football knowledge or experience. She might have some understanding of running the business, but she's not football qualified. So you would assume right now that Rudkin is doing everything football wise in terms of senior management at the club. The way that is supposed to be evolving is that we get this technical director come in, which apparently, well, it's rumour at the minute, but it seems to be growing that this guy from Manchester City is coming in. And I quite like the look of his CV, if I'm honest. He looks like he's got some real pedigree for working with youth players. And I think for me at the minute, if you look at our club, the positive piece of our club at the minute is the kids that aren't quite ready now and are playing kind of cameos here and there. But in 18 months, 2 years' time, you would hope if they stay, are going to form the nucleus of our team. So I think it makes sense to bring that guy in if he's got that experience and that pedigree. So that's great. But once we bring the other people in around it, then Rudkin, to my understanding, goes above them and oversees them and manages the club from above. And that's a little bit for me, and this is my personal opinion, where it starts to worry me, because as everyone's kind of chipped in this evening and said, he's got some form for making some dodgy decisions. And I wouldn't want to be the technical director, for example, going to John Rudkin and getting answers that I thought were nonsense. You know, so it can't, the structure will evolve in time. But to my understanding, Rudkin will be over the football side of the club and everyone else that's brought in around it over the next few weeks and months. So whilst it's not him making the decisions in terms of philosophy, you know, in terms of, I think Top alluded to trying to get the club's identity back and trying to get some people in to get that old identity back, because he felt like that had been lost. You just don't want that scup for me. I don't want that scuppered by someone above it, kind of curtailing fresh ideas, new philosophies, because I don't know about you guys.
Unless Simon, then he's going to this. I can't remember. Is it something McMahon? McMahon, is it? I can't remember his name now.
James McMahon or something.
That's it. Unless he's going to bring him in, and there's going to be a crossover of say 3 months, and then once he's settled in and the feet's under the table, Rudkin's out the door.
Well, maybe that's what he's thinking behind the scenes. The guy's name's James McCarron. He's been in Belgium lately, and he's been to and from Man City twice. He's been involved with the women's setup. He's been involved in the youth setup. He's worked for the Premier League in the past as well. So he looks like a very capable, qualified guy. I was really quite optimistic when I heard that the other day. It's just how he gets managed is what worries me. And like you say, maybe there's a longer term strategy once we get these people in place then to move John Rudkin aside. Hope for me that would be the perfect situation.
That needs to be quick though. Those decisions have to be quick. These appointments that.
But the thing is, Jono, when you say that these decisions have to be quick, if you mean by Rudkin getting sacked, and this is not me saying that I want Rudkin to stay, I'm just saying that whatever quick decision anyone
before the transfer window opens in the summer.
Yeah,
it's understandable for the transfer window. I get that, but for anyone who says they need to get the owner out or Rudkin out instantly, for the short term, for transfer windows and all that, fair enough. But it's not. It doesn't need to be quick if it means getting them out just
What-
because it's going to change something. Because it's not going to change anything. The players on the pitch will not care if Ruckin's gone. They're
What
not
I
going to
don't
care.
get-
Yes, they might lose a bit of money because someone else come in and say you're not having that wage when your contract ends. But
I'm gonna have to disagree because there's obviously toxicity with the players as well because they've not been, after the game they've been seen arguing. I remember I don't know what game it was, but down the tunnel they were in a fight.
Yeah,
you're not going to
remember
blame.
that.
You're not going to blame the player.
No,
the
but
player
what I'm saying
performances
is,
on Rookin, are you? So
what I'm saying is, Leicester City behind closed doors is not a happy camp. That goes from the pitch all the way to the ownership. There's a cloud over Leicester City, and maybe second John Rookie won't make any initial decision like change his decisions, but it might. Maybe he's the person that's stopping. Maybe he's making tactical decisions. I don't know, but there needs to be change. And just saying, right, support the lads isn't change. That's just supporting the team as you should do. There needs to be change. And if we keep saying, oh, well, nothing will change now, so we'll wait another year.
it's not about waiting. I don't mind if it happens.
It's not about
now, but
waiting, Jono. It's about what will happen. In my mind, it's about what will happen. It's more what happened to me. I don't. It's going to sound really bad. This is. I don't mind what happens upstairs. I want us to stay up. I want us to win the next 14 games. I know it's not going to happen. I don't care what goes on up there. I just don't want to be in League One at the end of the season. And all this toxicity is, I think, is within the fans is causing a problem, not the problem, a problem. And I don't care what goes on, what happens, whether it happens before the summer, whether it happens in the transfer window. It's about staying up. And all this toxicity, I don't think is helping fans, the players, the club, everything. I just don't think it's helping whatsoever. That's my main point of view.
What would your change be, though, Jamie?
We need change. Yes, I've been saying this. I was on Radio Leicester the other week. Last week. We need we said we needed change. We need change, yes, but nothing. Say again, Jono.
What change would you do?
Doesn't matter. On the minute, yes, I think, like I said on Radio Leicester the other day, I think you can draw a line in the King Power's time at Leicester now, to be fair. But trying to force them out, I don't think will be, they've got millions and billions of pounds. They don't have to be forced out. If they want to go, they'll go. They'll sell up. This is just a small drop in the ocean for them, the Leicester City is. But, yes, change needs to happen. But like I keep saying, it's not going to happen. There's no immediate effect. The only immediate effect we need to see is on the pitch. And we need, I know I keep saying like a bit of a broken record, we need to come together as one. No matter how shit it is on that pitch, we need to try and come as one. Just for the next 3 or 4 games, just to try and build momentum. And then once you've got momentum, you can keep building and building. I just think it's wrong that we've got 2 sections now. We really have. We've got an in and an out. It's the same as the Rogers brigade, the out brigade and the in brigade. Exactly the same then that happened then. It's too toxicity with the fans. And I think that's causing a problem. Not the problem, but a problem.
It's going to be a big problem as well going into that first home game with Gary Rowett in charge. And
Norwich,
the game.
Protest. What's that going to look like? Gary Rowett.
I mean. Protests are coming from each direction. For the first home game with Gary Rowett, yes, you've got Stoke first, which, again, you're going to get points from that as well. But going at home with a new manager at home, you're not going to want all the toxicity. You want to try, as much as I agree with Jamie, you need to get behind the lads, you need to see a performance, but you're not going to get that if the moment you go into the ground, you're going to go.
Which is what it will be. Which is what it will be.
And it will be. But, like I said, there's only so much. Like I say, when we're talking about backing the lads and whatnot, in my opinion, my way of backing them is still by going to the games. Yes, I will still criticise players. For instance, if Luke Thomas does something wrong, I'm going to say, oh, he's just doing shit there. But it's not me saying that I want the team to fail. It's just criticism and not opinions all the time.
The team to fail. If you're a part
it's more
of the
a point for me. I'm going to the games because I enjoy football. I like going to the away games. I say yes. I didn't go to Southampton away. It wasn't because of how bad we played on the Tuesday before that. I just decided not to go. But
you've got no holiday left.
Well, yeah, not just that, but it was Valentine's Day as well. Let's just not forget that.
You didn't miss much, Rudy.
Huh?
You didn't miss
much. Right then, lads. I've got to go.
Glad.
I've got to go. Nice speaking to you all. Nice to see you all on one place for once. But yes,
Good
change has
debate.
got to be. My last point is change has got to be made, but on the pitch more than off the pitch at the moment in time. That's me. Cheers, all.
Take care,
Cheers, Jamie.
Joey.
See you later. I'll see you Sunday.
Yes, for your famous aftermath show. We'll see you Sunday.
See you later.
Take care, mate. Just on that, look, you see, there's been a few of these tonight. I've been popping the comments on while you've been talking. And Everton, Newcastle, Wednesday, false change. Now, for me, there's a couple of things to say about that I think are relevant. And the first one is that for Sheffield Wednesday, for example, they were, and still are to a degree, absolutely staring the precipice clean in the face. Everyone knew that the Chanzari situation had completely disintegrated. The purse strings behind him had been tied up. He wasn't getting another penny. And that was an absolute black and white situation. You know, it's either get change or we're gone as a club completely. The other part of that that's relevant for me, and I think this is what divides the fan base, is that we've won a lot of things over the last 10 years under the family. Now, we've won the league, we've won the FA Cup, we've won the Community Shield, we've had seasons in Europe, and that's been under the King Power ownership. So it's, you know, for Newcastle that have had decades until very recently of obviously barren seasons of no trophies. Everton, the same. You know, you could argue Sheffield Wednesday, similar. You know, they haven't had that. And I think that's what's splitting our fan base in terms of, you know, people are remembering, actually show some respect for these people because they are the architects of that success, which is the greatest era.
But the thing is,
in Leicester City's history.
Thing is, Simon, you saying that you got to give them credit. I get the point of it and I understand it, but in this moment right now, people are going to say, "How can you even say you can give credit to him because it's been a shit show?" But
it's recency biased.
It is recency biased. Again, I'm not saying people are entitled, but because of where we were and where we are now, people are having to look and target someone. Like I said, if you're back in the Premier League right now with top 6 place and whatnot, not one person will comment on a Rudkin situation or top situation. It's because of where we are right now and how we are. That's why people want a change instantly.
I think the point I'm making, Jono, is that's why we're being split as a fan base, because you've got those that are loyal because of the recent history, and you've got those that are just completely out of patience and are like, you know, forget the past. This is now. It's an absolute shambles. And both are valid, if we're being honest. Both are valid points.
No, I get that. Like I say, I wouldn't go back and say now, "Oh, look what we did," so just give them a bit of credit. We are where we are now because of where we are, as in what we've done. Yes, it's gone from the greatest moments of our lives in football to near the worst. So right now, yeah, I would say that I'm not going to give them credit because they have turned, or certain people have people have turned the club into a mess. But I'm not going to go back and say just give them a bit of credit. But I would then again say people were saying this because we are where we are compared to where we were before.
Simon, you seem to know a lot about who's in charge of what. I'm just wondering. So we said Rudkin went upstairs a couple of months before January. He went upstairs before January. Then we had the January transfer window. Who was in charge of waiting the whole window to make a sign and then panic buying 4 in the last second? And then I've looked at our wages here. And according to this, I don't know how official this is, but it looks pretty official. Jamal Lascelles is on 50 grand a week, by my understanding. Who's put Jamal Lascelles on 50 grand a week?
I mean, the official line, Taylor, that comes out of the club is that they have a panel of a group of people, which includes the owner and Rudkin, that kind of rubber stamp the decision. So I'm guessing they have some kind of conference call when there's a decision to make, and then they talk through the pros and cons, and they say yes or no. I agree with you that the January window was absurd, that there was not even the squeak of a rumour for weeks, let alone a signing. And then all of a sudden on the last day, bang, 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 here's 4 players.
We've done that twice now, haven't we? We've done that.
Yeah, we got
last
4
transfer window.
Yeah.
It's always in January.
And it makes you kind of puzzled. Is it this tardy paperwork that people, it's done, but they don't actually announce it until that point? Who knows? But ultimately, in the absence of anyone else, despite Top's comments before in that interview in Thailand back in November that we were going to get some people in to run the football side of things, that it has to be John Rudkin at the moment that's still doing all of that in the absence of anybody else.
50 grand a week, Jamal Lascelles, an aging centre back.
Well, there's the lad from Southampton's on 40 as well, is he not?
He's
I
on
think.
35 according
I
to
don't
then
even
I
this.
see him
go,
play
Yeah.
yet.
but then I'd go back and say, like to Harry Winks, if you don't give him a certain amount of money, I'd say it is wrong to give him that high wage, but would we be in the even worse position now if we didn't give them that money to try and stay up? Like people said I think last year when they said even if we break the rules, do it to make sure we stay up. Like Forest did, they did it to make sure they stayed up even though they broke the rules.
We shouldn't
I'd
let
say that
players take over. We shouldn't let players decide, oh, I'm
No,
not
you-
playing unless I'm going to pay me like 90
you
grand a week.
shouldn't. Of
Like,
course they shouldn't. But like I say, when we signed Jamal Styles, the amount of fans at the fan base, I think what 80% said what a signing that is. I was a bit controversial because of like I say his injury record and all that. But overall, if he does enough to keep us up, I'd say it was probably worth doing, even though it was 50 grand a week. As much as it's horrible to say, you needed to bring in solid players to hopefully do the job to do what you need to do and stay up. But like I
I
said,
want to give
still
a
shit.
I want to give a bit of look at this in a different way. Who here has seen the show Kitchen Nightmares? Any of you?
I watched
Yeah, of
Hell's
course.
Kitchen, not Kitchen
Yeah.
Nightmares. Though.
Kitchen Nightmares. So it's a show where Gordon Ramsay goes into kitchens in America and fixes them up. Now, there's a few of them where the business 20 years, 30 years ago was booming. They were the best restaurant in the world in the area. They'll earn loads of money with loads of rewards. He's come in, the food's outdated and awful. Now, he's not saying they've always been rubbish because they've done really good in the past. All he's saying is if you keep doing the same business model, you're going to collapse. So you need to change. And that, he doesn't say, oh, well, we'll wait till next summer where business is good again, then we'll make the change. He makes the change then. I know, but what I'm saying is fans that say, oh, like, oh, let's forget about like, oh, they did so good for us. Yes, they did. Top of the family gave us the best memories in our lives. That doesn't make them invulnerable to making bad decisions now.
No, I get you. I don't think any of us is going to disagree with you in saying that change needs to be made instantly. But I think majority of fans just want us to be like, as much as change needs to happen, the biggest change right now that needs to happen is staying up, and none of what we want to happen will do anything to change that happening other than hopefully getting behind the team and trying to do what we have to do to stay up. Because then that's the case. Like I say, you're not going to whatever the change is. It's not going to do anything to if we go down or stay up or not. That's on the players and that's on the performances.
with
The
these
change can happen
wages,
now if it wants.
with these wages, I've just seen here as well. I know it's not much, but Vietes, who we signed in the summer, who's not even been on, well, he's been on the bench a couple of times. Yes, he's on 15 grand a week, which isn't a lot, but he's on more than Fatawu. He's on more than Jordan James. He's on more than
How much did you
Mavididi.
say VATs was on?
Vietes is on 15,000 a week, which is more than Jordan James, way more than Fatawu, more than Mavididi. Who's deciding this? I just don't understand. This is all Rudkin, and if it is Rudkin, that's the only thing we can all agree that has to change now. No matter if it's too late or what, it's got to do
But
now.
then would you say the likes of Fataru's signing, only like he's on less than that? You'd say that the ownership's done a good job in getting him, because I'm surprised he's even joined for that amount.
It is. I just don't think Fatawu is the type to argue it. I know.
No, that's what we're doing. We're buying players who we've seen now, the likes of Winks, who yes, I'd much prefer to see him in the team if he's going to try, than not be in the team. But at times we've known that Winks has been very much getting paid 90 grand a week and doesn't want to play playing. So I don't know. I think there's players in the club that will, like I say, Danny Ward, who was just sitting on the bench for 2 years, he couldn't give a shit. Like he was more than happy to sit on the bench and just come into training. And then you've got the likes of Fatu, who yes, people are going at him for this year for not being consistent enough, but
which is wrong.
he loves Leicester. Jordan James loves Leicester.
How people can go at Fatu is just, and we're not talking about that, but yeah, I disagree with that. If you're going to go at anyone, don't go at the guy who's got our most goal involvements this season.
It's because he's not being consistent enough. That's the thing.
Yeah, I suppose, but yeah.
There is no stability or consistency at the club this season, is there? Just the noise around it, the whole thing from start to finish just feels off. And I agree with what you're saying, that now we've got, it's a cliche, but we've got 14 cup finals here to keep ourselves in this league. I don't agree with people that think we should get relegated, because that is throwing the club into jeopardy. You don't know what's going to come of that. You don't know what the end of that could be. You're assuming you're going to get a new owner that's going to throw loads of money at it.
No.
You don't know that. You don't know that that's going to happen. It could end up worse. Right now, the sensible thing to do I agree with you, is to support this new manager and get behind it and try and keep us in this league for the future of the club, because that's what's at stake.
The change can happen now. Fair, like, whatever. Yeah, do the change. I'm not saying it shouldn't happen. I'm just saying that right now, it would be much more beneficial for us. Like, again, it might not be, but in our eyes, it's more beneficial for us to stay in the Championship. And then hopefully, now the point deduction's happened, hopefully we haven't got any more charges on us, that we can start and make
this is the thing, we don't know.
Again back to the Premier League. You never know.
I'm going to move this on a little bit, because there has been some change at the club. Earlier on, we have a new manager, as was announced. What do you think that change? We can talk about how bad it was getting him, and if it was whether it's a good signing or not. I don't care about that. But what do you think this will do in terms of changing? Obviously, what's on the pitch is the most important thing right now. What's on the pitch needs to change. So, Sam, what do you think getting this guy in is going to do for the game against Stoke and the next 14 games?
Well, firstly, the game against Stoke, this guy's not a miracle worker. He's going to have probably one session with him before he goes to the game at Stoke. So I believe he took training today, if you believe it. They're playing Saturday lunchtime, so they're not going to train heavy on a Friday. If they train at all, they might have a bit of a sit-down tactics session. They're not going to start running around and working on any sort of formation or system. So he's got very limited time to do anything against Stoke. So what we know about Gary Rabbit is that his record's not spectacular. You're not looking at it thinking this guy, he's a spectacular achiever. However, what he is a very good, experienced, solid pair of Championship hands. He builds his teams based on defence. He gets the defence right before he starts looking at the other parts of it and gets that sound. And if you look at the fact, as we all know, that we haven't kept a clean sheet in the league for 27 games, you could argue that right now the defence is a problem. Now, you could go on and argue that it's the personnel in the defence that's also the problem, and no one can do anything with that lot. That's to be seen. But ultimately, for me, we should have got to this point quicker than 3 weeks. This guy's been out of work for all that time. He wasn't in employment. We've not had to negotiate him out of a contract or anything else. I think we've gone after some unrealistic targets in the early days after Cifuentes' sacking, and then the people that make the decision have realised that actually that's unachievable. We need to be more pragmatic with what we're doing. He's only there to the end of the season. He's clearly got a focus, and that focus is keep us in the Championship. And you would hope by the Middlesbrough game, I'm not going to judge him on Stoke on Saturday because there's not enough time, but by the Middlesbrough game, then we should start to see the shoots for something turning for the better. And as Taylor said earlier, this has to be a success. There's no chance to change now again. This has got to work. So, let's all collectively hope that it does, because I fear what comes if it doesn't.
Anyone else? Any comments on the manager's manager input?
I said it earlier and I'll say it again. I'm not going to judge or be positive or negative in any way until I see what he's going to do on the pitch. Again, we know how bad it's been. I hope that he can do something to improve it. Like Simon said, I think we were wrong to appoint someone sooner. I feel like it was the same as when we got rid of Rodgers 2 or 3 years ago. Well, more than that, but when we got rid of him, we gave 2 games to 2 trainers or fitness coach, whoever it was, and we lost them both, and that was one of the biggest reasons why we did get relegated that year. But I'm not gonna judge it. Again, I've judged him in a way of I'm not a biggest fan of him because I just don't trust in what he can do to get. I know he's kept teams up before and he's got teams to the playoffs before, but until I see something on the pitch to get me motivated, I'm not going to judge or try and be like, he's the man to bring us up, to keep us up, because if he doesn't, then a lot of fans will just go, he wasn't the right man. I'm not going to put my foot down and say he's going to be the man to bring us to keep us up, because I don't
On the
know that yet.
fence. You're on the fence
Yeah,
again.
he is on the fence, because I can't be any other way.
I get
I
that,
can't.
but if you
I'm
go off
hopeful
just,
for him. I'm hopeful for him. Of course I am.
if you go
I
off
would
just
be
on
for anyone.
paper it makes sense with his experience
Yes,
and
of
with
course.
his experience in a relegation battle in the Championship. He's been at the top of the Championship, he's been in the middle, and he's been at the bottom. So it makes sense on paper. And so can you sort of give credit to whoever's done that? Maybe, but will it, like you say, Reedy, no matter what we say, all that matters is he's got to prove it.
He's got to do what everyone wants, and if he doesn't, people will go at the club again for saying you got the wrong man in. Again, people will say you should have gone for Dyche because he's available. You should have gone for this.
We tried to. He said no.
That's what I mean. We don't. We can say we tried to. I say I don't believe anything until Top comes out and says we did go for him and we didn't get it. Like I said, we can have rumours around it and whatnot, but like I said, this guy has to do I won't say the impossible, because it's never going to be impossible, but he's got to do what most fans want and stay up. If he doesn't do that, then we'll just get more toxicity on. We shouldn't have brought him in.
I think. Well, my final views is that, they could have hired Mr. Blobby. I don't care. They could have hired anyone, but I need to see
whoever came in has to do the job.
Actually, this is it, because I do fear, and I know what Jamie says is, how do you know that the club is going to financial trouble? Well, I've not just watched any YouTuber or influencer. I've watched financial experts, and the guy who rescued Sunderland from this situation. He looked at our records, and he's also very, very concerned. So if this guy rescues Leicester, he needs a statue next to Vichai, because
Hey, before he gets a statue, mate, Vardy's got to go.
Vardy's due one.
He has got the biggest job since ever. This is the biggest period of time in King Power's history. This is it.
I understand.
I'm gonna have to leave you boys before my phone's.
Yeah, we're gonna end the stream soon anyway.
See you later, Taylor.
See you later. Thank you for having me on.
Take care, mate.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say before we finish, I was just going to say that I'm like Nick said, like you got to give them the human chance. Yes, of course I will, but I'm not going to be all positive and say he's going to be the man to keep us up, because we can't know until we see it. So we've got to hope for the best. We've got to try and do what we can. We've got to try and do what needs to happen and keep us up, but we're not going to see it until we're not going to see anything until we actually see it. So.
It's Mary there just making a comment. Actually, that just really resonated with me. We need to play for a full 90 minutes, not just 45 minutes in a match. If Rowett can achieve that, he'd have done something that Cooper couldn't do, that Van Nistelrooy couldn't do, and Cifuentes couldn't do, and Andy King. I disregard Andy King really, because he was just holding the fort. But no one's got us to play 90 minutes in over a season and a half. So that I absolutely agree, Mary. That's a big thing.
And I give Rowett credit. Mainly because he's actually come in and had the bollocks to go on, right. I'm gonna either be absolutely slated for
nothing
taking.
to lose.
I would say he's got a lot to lose. I'd say that he's come into one of the biggest jobs of his life now, in the fact of he's got to try and keep Leicester up, and if he doesn't, then
I mean, if he does well, he's got on the CV that he saved Leicester City. If he doesn't do well, you can argue the club's in a mess anyway. He had no chance. So for him, he can really, if he saves Leicester, he can get loads of any championship job, because
you've got to think as well, like Simon, you've got to think that if he didn't come in, like not many managers I don't think would have wanted to take this job, and that's why I'm saying he's probably gonna have to be given credit to be the one to say, yeah, I'll take this job and see what I can do. But I don't think many other managers were taken in the position we're in now, especially after 4 games of losses, after we've sacked our old manager and we're in a position worse than we probably could have been. Like we could have been out of it the last 4 games. So he's took a big job on his hands now.
Absolutely. And you would assume that if you're in Gary Rowett's shoes right now, he's thinking, right, I'm going to get in here, I'm going to sort this out, I'm going to get this club well clear of the bottom three, and I'm going to get myself a nice, decent contract here in the summer that it gets extended, and that will be his goal. You know, whether they've given him a bonus to keep us up, it's got to be a possibility. You might have a nice bonus sat there that, if you keep us up, here's a few quid.
Well,
But ultimately,
apparently they gave Enzo exclusively. I don't know how true it is, but they probably offered that to anyone that would take the job and go, if you can keep us up, here's your money, mate.
So there's a financial goal, you would think, at the end of this as well. But he'll have sights on getting a longer deal in the summer. I'm quite sure of that. And if he produces performances for us and we get the points, then I wouldn't be averse to that. I think in the position we're in, we need to rebuild. He's a decent candidate for that in the near future.
And final thought, I think as we know, heard the rumours, and he's a sort of guy who does not take any BS from any players. Any players who don't try hard, any players who don't care, he will say, I know that I'm confident. Well, I don't know. I'm confident he will tell them to get your act together. Don't play for me. And those are the players we want. We don't want players here because of the wage. We want players here to will fight for Leicester City. Hamza Chowdhury is a Leicester City fan. He would want us to stay up. Leicester youth will want us to stay up. Those are the players we need to play. But we'll end it there, guys, because we're on for an hour, so we've been debating.
I think the very last comment I'll say is, for hope, like, positive side, is I'd be very interested to see what Rowett puts out on Saturday, what team he puts out, because we saw the first lineup from King. It was basically the same as what Marty would have put out. I know we haven't got too much change we can make because of injuries and whatnot, but I'd hopefully like to see at least a different lineup to what we normally expect it to be. Yeah, even if that's Christensen or Luca at left back.
I mean, the thing for me, the thing for me it's screaming for is to play two people up front.
Mm-hmm.
We've had one up front now for as long as I can remember, who just kind of runs themselves into the ground, getting no opportunity. Give these defences more to think about. Football doesn't have to be some like incredible science that is incredibly complicated. And when the ball's here, you go there, and when we've got it, you go here, and just keep it simple. Keep it simple. Block the gaping leak at the back, and give the defence at the other end something to think about. And Rowett's got form for playing two up front in the past, so I'd like to see that from the get-go that we get a couple up there. And I'd like to see this Jamaican lad get a chance as well, because of all of the loan signings that we've had in January, he doesn't seem to have much of a squeak. And Ayew and Daka aren't really living up to the level as we all know.
Well, we'll end it there. I appreciate everyone coming on. Appreciate Taylor and Jamie also joining us. We're not going to have our show tomorrow, mine and Simon's, but we'll have Jamie's show on Sunday, Aftermath show. Then have Phil's show on Monday, discussing the game against Stoke. And then, I think we're all kind of in the same boat. We might lose against Stoke, but
well, that's not being positive, is it, Jono?
But
see, I'm not. We're losing on Saturday. I'm not. I think if he can get some basics right and he gets the right attitude into these players, and they understand this guy's not going to take any nonsense, you might see a lift. And I'd quite comfortably take. I know we need 3 points, but I'd take a draw away at Stoke on Saturday.
It's not even about taking a draw, though.
Performance.
I know a lot of people say I'd be happy to lose as long as we see them fight. In the position we're in, it can't happen, but we need to see a change in the team. And as long as we perform well and I wouldn't say play 90 minutes, because I don't think it's possible to ever play a full 90 at full speed. But you want to see some fight.
Not two halves. Yeah. Similar halves.
I also hope for Rowett that Jordan James gets fit and available to play as quickly as possible, because that would be a huge lift.
I don't know how big of a rumour this is, because obviously I met Jordan James the other day, and I heard in the background as I left, he said, "Oh, I might be back next week." I don't think it's the case, because I think there's still a few weeks to go, but you never know.
Never know. Anyway, we appreciate you all for watching. Don't forget to join us at the weekend, Sunday and Monday. We should see you guys. What's that outro stuff?
What's the outro stuff? Oh, I'm gonna do the job, have I?
I can't see it.
It's fine. I'll do it, and then yeah, all good.